Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our Half Acre Homestead, and today I'm going to show you how I make and prepare pierogies. Okay, so here we have 4 cups of flour, 1 cup of water, plus or minus a half a cup you may need, 1 egg, and I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt to the flour. Now this is for our pierogi dough, folks, and it's just basically a basic noodle dough. We've got our dough hook on here, and I'm just going to dump our flour in here, make a well in our flour. We're going to crack in 1 egg and water. We're going to put that right down in the center, and we're going to let this work itself up into a dough. Now if it's too wet, I will add more flour. If it's too dry, I'll add more water. Now I've had to add another half a cup of water, but that just seems just about right. I'm going to let it knead a little bit longer, and then we'll be back to make the pierogies. Okay, now let's make our filling. For starters, you're going to need about 2 cups of mashed potatoes. You can use leftover, you can use fresh cooked, you can use instant. It really doesn't matter. And I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of grated cheese because we are making loaded pierogies. And then I'm going to add, you can use freshly diced, but I'm going to add about a teaspoon to 1.5 teaspoons of onion flakes and about 1/2 teaspoon of garlic powder. And we don't need any salt because it's in the cheese. Okay, and we're just going to mash this all together with our potatoes. So I've got some baby spinach here because these are loaded, okay? Now I know, folks, potatoes is usually the only thing, or sometimes potatoes and cheese, in your filler of your pierogies. But I'm Canadian, so you know what that means? That means I get to have artistic license with any food that has come over from any old country. I get to make it my own. I do anyway, right? So we're going to finely chop this baby spinach, and this is really going to make them a loaded pierogi. So let's get that in there. So what I have here is my Honest Earth creamy mashed potatoes. I think you saw me buy some at Costco. These are just potatoes, butter, and milk. That's all that's in them. But I'm going to mix some of the powder in there. It'll make my pierogi filling a little drier. But once they start to cook, the moisture comes out of the spinach. It's going to absorb that excess bit of moisture. Oops, I'm throwing it all over the place here. Let's get our dough on the way. We're going to flour our cloth here. And this is for making pierogies on a multiple scale. If you can find one of these, they're great. If not, when you roll out your dough, just cut it with a glass and open it, put your pierogi filling in, brush the edges with water and pinch them together. It takes longer, but I'm cheating. I'm using my machine, my pierogi machine, I call it. Now I'm going to take a lump of my pierogi dough here. See how it's nice and elastic? It's basically a mild, a low egg noodle dough. Now you can't overwork this stuff, guys. It's like noodle dough, okay? So let's get out our machine. We're just going to flop our dough right over top. And if it doesn't fit all the way, you can stretch it. It's not really, just don't stretch it really, 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 really hard. Okay, so I'm just going to gently press this with my hands so that we can see, or with the rolling pin, so that we can see the outline of our pierogies. And because this is nice and dry, I can just take a piece of my filling and roll it. Now lots of people say, oh no, you gotta spoon it in. Well, you go ahead. I've made mine drier because of the amount of spinach I put in it. And as you can see, they're going to fit right in these pockets really nicely. Okay. We're just going to take this for a second and set it aside. And we're going to roll out our next piece of dough. We are going to roll this out as big as we can make it. And then we're just going to take the pastry brush, dip it in water, and we're just going to coat the whole top with a thin coating of water. All right. Now let's just move this over and bring our pierogies down. And we're going to put this wet side down over top of our machine. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're just going to take our rolling pin and we are going to firmly press down over our machine. You know, you can see the lines coming through. We are just going to take our dough and holding our spots where our pierogies are, we're just going to pull away the excess dough. Okay, now don't throw away your excess dough because we're going to reuse it. All right, so with any luck, we should be able to just turn this over and poke these puppies out. All right, I'm going to put these on a plate and get ready for my next batch, but I am going to show you how to do them individually. Okay, let's hand make a couple of pierogies. I got a little bit of dough here, and I'm rolling it out. Now, you can do this so many different ways. It's basically just the pocket filled with potato stuff. But I'm going to do a traditional cut here. We're going to take our one little pierogi pocket. Once it's out, I roll it out a little bit more. It actually is quite a lot easier that way. You take your pierogi dough and a little pocket of filling. I like to squish mine together so that it doesn't squeeze out. Take our pastry brush. We're just going to go around the edge with some water. And that might be too much filling, and then we're going to very carefully pinch it. You don't want any filling in between these edges or they won't stick. And there is a hand rolled pierogi. I'm going to get these done and we'll be back when it's time to cook them.